Hello, welcome back to the Maya Toolbelt. This is Michael, and we're continuing working on the chandelier for the environment project. So let's keep going with the center structure here. I can show you a picture that I'm kind of using as my main guide for this. And above this piece here, we kind of goes up into this kind of leafy, flowery looking shape above it. I can actually lower these down a little bit. So let's see. I think I'll create the base shape first, and then I'll worry about all the leafy stuff after. So I'm just going to go to Create, Polygon Primitives, and I'll make a cylinder. Kind of scale it up. I'll get rid of the subdivision caps like I tend to do. I'll increase my divisions axis so it's a bit smoother shape. Increase this thickness. So let's see, let's go about right here. Grab this face and put it about there, extrude this down, scale it in. So again, I'm just making like the base shape of this. Pulling this down, do something like this. So again, like I said, this is like a base shape. We're going to probably do the same thing we did with this piece and kind of divide this up into a quadrant that we can work with before we duplicate it around for the rest of the object. So I'll go into the top view. Let's delete half of this and then the other half. And I'm going to rotate this 45 degrees so it's more straight with the grid that we have. And then I'll go to Modify, Freeze Transformations so that this is frozen. I think I want to hide my guide for now. Okay, so let's see, looking at the picture, we might even cut this in half as well, because we can work with a very small piece of this and get most of the details that we need for the whole thing, and just have to duplicate it. So it looks like about right there is pretty close to centered on the grid. So with that change, we'll go to Modify, Freeze Transformations, and we can start from there now. So I want to do, there's this big leafy piece in the middle here, and then they kind of have alcoves on both sides. I want the alcoves to kind of blend together, so I'm going to kind of create both at the same time. And then this can scale in. And we're going to add some definition here. Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop. Kind of cut one through here. So there's like a ridge that runs along this end here. Have it kind of taper down, something like this. We can actually also insert an edge loop up here. And my image is kind of blurry, so I'm just kind of guessing at some of these details. And a lot of this is going to be covered up with our kind of leaf decorations. Alright, Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop again. We're going to put one through both corners here. And I'm going to go in here and change the weight to 0.5, so I'll make sure it's right there in the middle. I'll grab all these edges and kind of move them in here. And we can bevel this edge loop. You can bevel this probably as well. Alright, so I think I'm going to insert edge loop, and I'll put one right down the middle here, because I think I can even divide this in half and continue that way. So I can do one half of it and then mirror it for the other half. So some of these edges are kind of unnecessary, so I'm going to go to Edit Mesh and Collapse. So what I'm trying to do here is kind of round out this alcove a little bit. I think I got a little premature with the bevel here. I'm going to select this beveled edge and delete it. Edit Mesh, delete edge. Just need to clean this up. And what I might end up doing is actually smoothing this to get a really nice smooth look to it. See if I can bevel this and see what that looks like. Edit Mesh Bevel. Get a nice little ridge through here. So just to test it out, I'm going to go to Mesh Smooth and just kind of see what it looks like. So it's pretty close, and don't forget we're going to be seeing it like from a distance. So I'm going to undo the smooth now. Got a little bit of a vertex error right there, so we can merge that together. Okay. Alright, so let's see if we, just to test again, I'm going to delete history, duplicate this, I'm going to scale it -1 to the Z, just to see what that looks like. Okay, and then we can mesh combine. I'm going to grab these vertices down the middle, go to my top view and be easier. Just make sure I grab only those vertices down the middle. Edit Mesh, merge, and we'll increase the distance threshold until they merge together the way we want. Okay, we've got most of them. We can try these now separately. There we go. Let's see, we're missing any. I think they're all there. Okay, we can delete history. Now we can duplicate this and just kind of rotate it about 45 degrees. And you can see the gap's not quite perfect, but that's okay. Just trying to see what it looks like. It's kind of a test run on this structure with the piece that we made. Mesh, combine. So I'm not going to worry about putting them together yet, but I can kind of get an idea of how this shape's looking, and I think that's pretty close. Let me undo all that stuff back to the one side by itself so I can keep working on it. One thing I am noticing from that test, the alcove right here is kind of tall. So I think I want to break out my lattice again, go to the form, lattice, and I'm going to pull this up and maybe bring it out some. So this alcove here is a bit shorter, not quite so long. And then I can delete the history like that. Okay. So this is just, again, like I said, the base shape. So what we're going to do along the ridge that has this kind of leaf piece that's right here, and then on the border, like on the tip of the top of the alcove here, where this is like a border right now, there's like another leaf that kind of pulls out like this and kind of spills over. So let's see, in order to make the leaf, I think I'm going to make it separately. I'm going to go to my front view, actually my right side view, Let's go ahead and make it the left view, so I'm looking at it from the front. So left side view. Okay. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go to Mesh Tools, Create Polygon. And I'm just going to kind of snap to grid here and make kind of a very pointy leaf shape. Something like this. That kind of matches the profile of that ridge that we have. Go to Mesh Display, Reverse. Whoops, wrong button. Mesh Display, Reverse. So now my face is facing the same way. And I go to Modify, Center Pivot. All right. So I have this shape. Go back to my perspective view. And I'll focus on it. Okay, so let's see. Looking at the picture again, just going to select my vertices and just kind of see if I need to change the shape some. Maybe I'll get rid of this point so it's a little more pointy up here. Actually, no, I can just move that point, something like this. So again, I'm just kind of getting like a shape I can use. Looks like I need to add a point here, so I'm going to go to multi-cut, click right here, hit enter, and that makes a point. So I can try and kind of curve this a little bit. So something like this, and like I said, we're not going to see this thing really close up, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I just want to try and make kind of this leafy shape. Alright, so now I have this half of the leaf. I'm going to duplicate it, -1 in the scale Z. So I get the other side. Select them both, mesh, combine. I'm going to grab these vertices down here, edit mesh, merge these vertices here, press G to merge again. Then I can select this edge and delete it. And now we have this. And then this point here, I think I want to make flat. So it looks something like this. Go back to my front view, go to Modify, Center Pivot. I can hold D and move the pivot down to the base of the leaf. It makes it a little bit easier maybe to control. Alright, so here's our leaf piece. We might want to scale it down a little bit. So what we're going to do is essentially put it right here once we're done with it and kind of blend it into the model. So first I would like to go to Mesh Tools, Multi-Cut. I'm going to start cutting across the face, point to point like this. So click here, hit Y to redo the tool. I'm just going to make these cuts go across the leaf like this. And then when we get here, we can start right here, doing the same thing. And then let's see, we can cut from here up to maybe here. Let's see what looks best. Probably there. Okay, something like this. And now we can go ahead and probably cut it all the way down the center also, like that. Okay, let's go to Edit Mesh, Extrude. Make sure we're in object mode first. Extrude, so we can give it some thickness like this. Okay, and now I'm going to start deforming this a little bit. So first, let's see, I'm going to, with the object selected, I'll go to Deform, Nonlinear, Bend. Okay, so I have a bend deformer, and over here in the inputs I can adjust the curvature. You can see how that bend deformer changes the shape. But what I want to do is rotate the bend deformer 90 degrees, so it's more like this, and we can curve it the other way. So I want this to kind of wrap around the curvature of this structure. Okay, so you can delete the history and it will keep that bend. Now let's kind of put it somewhere in place here and see how that looks. So something like this. And now what I want to do is grab these vertices and apply another bend just to these. So deform, nonlinear bend, and I do have a video going over the bend deformer for those of you who are interested in learning more about it. So I want to have happen, I'm going to change the low bound all the way up to 0 instead of a -1, and I'm going to move the bend deformer and kind of have this kind of drape over like this. The high bound I might increase, see that? So I get that more of a curl right through here. And I'm just kind of moving the bend deformer so we get something like this. And then pull that curve in a little tighter, get a tighter curl through here, something like this. Alright, so now we have that. Okay, so now I can delete the history there. Alright, and in order to, now there are some more details we can model in here. We can make it a bit nicer detailed, but again, I don't want to go too far with details that we're not really going to see, because don't forget we're going to be seeing it like this far away, so we're not really going to see a lot of details there. We can maybe add some details into textures when we get that far. So now I'm going to select these faces down here and delete them, because this is what I want to merge into the piece here. Just got to find a good spot to do it. And we might need to also make some more adjustments to this thing here. Let's kind of get it positioned the way we want it. And these leafy bits, you can grab these on both sides, kind of pull them up some a little bit. So they kind of run along the same kind of curvature as these little alcoves we have. Okay, and now I would like to bevel those edges like I like to do, is actually make this curl a little smoother. So I'm going to double click this edge loop instead and bevel it. Edit mesh, bevel. Put a segment in here, increase the fraction. Same here, double click this edge loop if it will let me. Sometimes the thresholds aren't quite there, so you can go to select contiguous edges and you can get most of it at that point. Okay, we've got this edge loop, so go to edit mesh, bevel. Something like this, and we can increase this fraction beyond 1. We can say like 1.5, and just getting some overlap in here with our geometry so we can start to merge some vertices together. So I'm going to grab these verts, edit mesh, and merge. Let's say merge to center. Since they're kind of far apart, hit G to merge to center again. Okay. So now this curls a bit smoother. Maybe we can even do this edge loop too, just a little bit of bevel there. Alright, and now maybe we'll try that edge again. Alright, looks like I got all that now. Still kind of an ugly bevel. We'll have to go back and tweak it some. Let's grab this point and kind of move it up here just to help with our edge flow through here. And also we're probably going to end up smoothing this just because it is such a interesting shape. Smoothing it might increase the quality of the overall surface. And since it's not a game project, we don't worry about geometry too much having a lot of polygons. So what I'm doing here is I'm holding down the C key for snap to curve, middle mouse click and drag on this edge, and then the point will run along the edge. You do have to make sure that one of your arrows is not highlighted, because if my arrow is highlighted yellow like this, then it won't work. So if I click the middle handle here, the square, hold C, middle mouse click and drag on the edge, and then my point will run along that edge like that. Okay, I think we've fiddled with that long enough. Let's do the other side. So I have something like this, and then just for a test, I'm going to delete history, mesh smooth, just to kind of see what it looks like. So, not too bad. Smooth shape. Let's undo that now. Alright, so now I want to worry about actually merging this into this piece of geometry here. So it can intersect, I'm not worried about that, but I do want it to kind of blend in through here. So let's go ahead and duplicate this piece to get the other side so you can blend them both at the same time. So Control D to duplicate, scale -1 into Z. Okay, so we can merge these together, mesh, combine. Go to the top view and grab those vertices running down the middle like we did before. And edit mesh merge. Adjust our distance thresholds. I'm going to wireframe just so I can get a good look. Okay, got those. Got those. Now through here we can, because they're so close together, that distance threshold wasn't really working out, so we can just get those individually like that. Alright, so I want this to kind of flow through here, so I'm going to delete some of these faces. Delete, let's see, not these, not that. But we can get rid of maybe these faces through here. Delete those. Let's grab these points through here, and we can pull them back so they're not cutting through. So now we just now we just have to kind of merge these in. Okay, so we got this. We can grab these 3 points here, kind of move them a little bit, clean that up. And then what I actually want to do is grab these edges and move them out some like this. I think I'm going to actually delete all those faces on the leaf, and we can try and work these in. So I'm going to go ahead and combine these now. I'm going to mesh, combine, and delete history. So then we can grab this edge. I'm going to go ahead and collapse it. So now we have these two edges and these two edges. So I'm going to grab these two, shift select these two, go to edit mesh bridge, take our divisions down to 0, so that it fills in that gap right there. And now we can go to mesh tools, append to polygon, and we can fill in this gap here, as well as through here. So now we have something like this. And now this point, we're going to fill in this gap. Let's go ahead and go back to append and fill through here on both sides. And so what I want to do is grab this point, not that one, this one. I'm going to hold C and minimize, click and drag on this. Make sure, again, my arrow is not highlighted. Grab on this edge. Somewhere around through here. Yeah, we can go ahead and point snap it actually. I was thinking we would blend it in differently, but that seems to work okay. Just point snap that in there. And we can go to mesh, merge again, edit mesh merge I should say. And then we can grab these two vertices here. So we're just trying to get that flow through here to not be too disrupted. And for the back here, we can point snap that there. We're going to try and fill this hole back here. Okay. Let's go to edit mesh merge, just to merge those points that we have on top of each other. Mesh tools, append the polygon. We can fill in this hole like that. And this is getting little small details, but a hole in the geometry you kind of have to deal with. Something like that. And let's see, we can try and see if we can't get this to bevel cleanly. It's not too bad. Grab that edge, edit mesh, delete, same here. Just bevel these corners. Edit mesh, bevel. Maybe add a segment. Kind of round it off a little bit. So there's that leaf kind of blended into that piece. And again, we can delete history now that we got all that done. Control D. We can hold J while we rotate. Shift D to get the rest. So we have something like this. Not too bad. We need to obviously blend in all the holes. But yeah, the piece is coming together now. This is going to need to rise up, so it's going to kind of meet it through here somewhere. Alright, we've gone on a long time with this video. This is some actual like modeling, you know what I mean? Took a little doing, and that sometimes just takes a little bit of trial and error to get the kind of shape you want, especially something that's relatively complicated like this. It's not super complicated, but is enough to make you have to think, right? But yeah, so I'm going to undo all these duplicates. We're still working on our one piece here. We can raise this back up though. And actually, because these arms are right here, I might want to lower these down, something more like this. And scale wise, this actually might be too small now that I'm looking at it. Again, I'm looking at the pictures, kind of might scale this up. I think that's closer to how it actually is. I'm going to hold down D and X and snap my pivot back to the origin of the scene so I can get my, again, my duplicates to rotate around properly. Okay, we're getting closer. We're making some progress. We're making headway. So the next part after this, this is the little leaf that's kind of along this ridge. Then there's like a large leaf that comes up above this part here. It kind of wraps up like this, similar to how this one's doing. It's kind of a much larger leaf through here. And we're going to do kind of the same process in the next video. This has gone on long. Sorry about that. Hope you enjoyed it though and learned a little bit and enjoyed the process. Still got a long ways to go, but I think this chandelier is going to be pretty cool when it's all done. Talk to you later.